Reinforcements have arrived.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Agreed. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative. Affirmative. Very well. Very well. At once. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Agreed. Agreed. At once. Yes, sir. Agreed. Yes, sir. Very well. Agreed. Agreed. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. At once. Yes, sir. Affirmative. 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 Very well. Very well. Affirmative. Very well. Yes, sir. At once. Affirmative. Affirmative. Very well. Yes, sir. Of course. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. At once. At once. Affirmative. At once. Very well. Very well. Very well. Affirmative.
Reinforcements have arrived. First objective met.
At once.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Reporting. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative. Agreed. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Very well. At once. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Acknowledge. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Very well. Agreed. Agreed. At once. Yes, sir. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Affirmative. Agreed. Agreed. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Agreed. Yes, sir. Very well. Agreed. Affirmative. Affirmative. At once. Yes, sir. At once. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Affirmative. Agreed. Agreed. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative. At once. At once. Very well. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. At once. Very well. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Very well. Affirmative. Very well. Agreed. Agreed. Affirmative. Agreed. Of course. At once. At once. Of course. Agreed. Agreed. At once. Agreed. Agreed. At once. Affirmative. At once. Very well. Affirmative. Yes, sir. At once. Very well. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Agreed. Affirmative. Agreed. Yes, sir. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Very well. At once. Yes, sir. At once. Affirmative. 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 Very well. Very well. Affirmative. Very well. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Of course. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Of course. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very well. Of course. At once. Agreed. Affirmative. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Of course. Yes, sir. Agreed. Affirmative. Of course. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative. At once. Very well. Very well. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. At once. Very well. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative. Of course. Affirmative. Very well. Yes, sir. Of course. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Of course. Yes, sir. Very well. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative. Affirmative. Very well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Agreed. Yes, sir. Very well. Agreed. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Affirmative. Very well. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Agreed. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Reporting. Affirmative. At once.
Reporting. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Agreed. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Ready and waiting. Affirmative. Agreed. Affirmative. Affirmative. Agreed. At once. Very well. At once. At once. Agreed. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Very well. Very well. Affirmative. At once. Of course. Affirmative. Affirmative. Very well. At once. Affirmative. Very well. Agreed. 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 Affirmative. At once.
Mission accomplished.